Today we're working on my file server where I've removed a 4 terabyte Seagate drive. Now this was an external drive and I'm running a Raspberry Pi to run my file server in a really unconventional way that many of you are probably going to argue about. In any case, the controller that came off this is really only good for running a 4 terabyte drive. We'll grab that and show you. This is one of these. So these basically just plug onto the end here, and then there's a little retaining screw that goes in here. Now, for some reason these only recognize the 4 terabyte drive, whereas a lot of the other Seagate external drives I've used, these controllers are a single straight board, not with this angled piece, and they seem to have no troubles understanding even like up to the 14 terabyte drive I've just dropped in there. Now the problem is I pulled this off the 4 terabyte drive, plugged it into an 8, it doesn't work, and I need to back up some stuff onto that 8 terabyte drive at short notice, and I don't have time to wait from stuff for China. So I went to see my local J-car shop and got this hard drive enclosure. Now there was two on the shelf. One was not stated with the size. This one is stated up to an 8 terabyte drive. Well, I'm going to plug it into an 8 terabyte drive. Interestingly, instead of using this USB 3 connector, it's using this connector, which I forget the particular classification for. I think it's a USB 3.0B type. In any case, but we're going to dismantle this and plug it into the existing setup. One of the reasons I went down this route is it's still got the same size DC plug, so the setup I have should be a plug-in and swap out. This is the fate of most things I buy. They end up getting dismantled before they've even been powered up. Alright, there is something in there to hold it in there. Ah, it comes out that way. And that's what I was hoping to see, a nice simple little board like that. With a power switch, I think I'm going to bridge out those contacts so it fires up without the need for that switch. And it should plug straight on, and the DC plug's in the right position. Okay, we're going to test the behavior of this switch. It's currently in its off position. Put a couple of probes in here and try not to stab them through my finger. There we go. And I just stabbed them through my fingers. Alright. Yep, on is closed. That's what we know. Cool. So, we'll bridge out that contact, which we'll tin, and we're going to just put a blob of solder across here. Come on, it's got lead-free solder on it. That should bridge our switch contacts sufficiently. Now we need to go crack open the file server and hook this in. Alright, so this is my file server. It's a modified old DVR rack mount unit, and I've got a Raspberry Pi and a few drives in there. It's turned off at the moment, and we're going to pull it out and get the lid off. Now you'll need to deal with the background noise of my apprentice playing Minecraft, but I'm sure you can deal with that. Now what we're looking at here, let's change our camera angle a bit. So in here we have a Raspberry Pi 4, we have a power supply, we have one external drive under here, USB hub, and we have 4 more drives under here. And over to one side, let's have a look over here. There are 4 drives here, and there's a USB hub in here for USB sticks that I might want to put in. There's also a couple of front ports on here, and a whole bunch of other things going on. The particular drive in question is this one here, which I need to remove because I've actually screwed this adapter on underneath. So I need to remove this whole drive bay, which means I need to remove this bar. Alright, we probably want another screw back in that bracket now that I can get it in here. One of these guys. Saves us using the tape. Right. Maybe a new one. And now we need to open this lead. Now, fun fact, if you're using this kind of lead, these are backwards compatible. You can plug a micro USB into this side here, or sorry, this side here, and you can actually get USB 2 speeds just by plugging a micro B lead into that. You don't need to use both sides of this, which is why I like these drives. But if you plug the one with the both connectors in, you get USB 3 speeds. However, this is the actual standard intended to be used for that. Here's a USB 3.0 B-type. For now, and for testing purposes, we're going to plug this straight in. Alright, the OS is booted up, and I've just heard the drive start to spin up. So this is for the 14 terabyte. This is for the 8 terabyte that we've just had in here. These 5 and an 8 terabyte in here, and this other one up the top is also an 8 terabyte. But it had such a weird connector on it that I couldn't remove it from the enclosure, so I just put the whole enclosure in. Now the Raspberry Pi should turn on these relays up here, which will turn the fans on when the CPU temperature gets to a certain point. It probably won't be just yet because it's been off all night. Alright, so since plugging that in, the OS doesn't want to boot. So we might unplug that drive and see if it boots without it. So it should select LibreLec. I think we can do that. And let's see if we get somewhere. I'm hearing the drives tick away and do their thing, which is a bit more than they were doing before. We'll see if we manage to get in there. Okay, so I've elected to boot into the desktop OS after the LibreLec OS would not boot. We seem to be in a similar situation. One of these disks is spinning and ticking away, so maybe it's doing a disk check. Guess I'll just have to wait. Alright, so I pulled the SD card out and went plugged into another Raspberry Pi 4 to see what's going on. And something is wrong with this OS. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's doing a data recovery on here. So I'm going to let this run on a screen that I can actually see and see what it does. Alright, well it appears my file server won't boot at all now. I'm not sure what the problem is. This is one of these things that's going to end up taking me all day to fix. So, you know what? I'll see you at the end of the day and see what I've figured out.
One eternity later.
Okay, so plugging it into the other Raspberry Pi and letting it do its file system repair obviously fixed the issue. I've booted into the desktop OS, but I have LibreLec on here dual booted. But for now, what I'm going to do is gradually connect connectors one at a time whilst it's running and see what shows up. Alright, we're going to plug drives in one at a time. I just threw an error having mounting a disk format in exFAT, but that's alright. Pretty sure that's one of the other ones. So I'll do all this, plug all these in, and see if they all pop up. There we go, that one. My dexterity is shot today. I just dropped two of the screws that I need into the case, and they've probably run down the side here, so I'll have to wait till it's all shut down to get them out. But we want to see if we get all four of our drives up. Alright, so given some time, it has actually mounted most of them. So we've got the 5 terabyte, the 8 terabyte number 2 and 3, we're missing number 1, and we've got the 14 terabyte. Now the 4 we have removed, so we're just reading on that one drive, which I'm pretty sure is going to be this drive on the top here, and I reckon it's going to mount something different, or that controller's not working the way we'd hoped. I have plugged over into this hub, even though that's a little dicky, but we'll work with that and see if we can get it to auto mount. Alright, so I wanted some actual answers, so I went back to my main workstation and I've used SSH to log in. I've run an LS USB, so we have a Lacey drive, which will be one of the 8 terabytes. We have a Western Digital controller, we know about that. Another Western Digital controller, via labs, that'll be it, and the hub. An unknown device here. We have SanDisk Cruiser, that's the memory stick. Another Seagate controller. And a J Micron Technology Corp SATA 6 gig bridge. That's probably what we've just put in here. So we've got all of this other stuff. So I need to probably find out why that is not mounting. Actually, you know what I might do? I might drag my laptop out there, plug the USB cable into that, and see if it's reading the drive. Because it might be that it's not compatible with this 8 terabyte drive. Let's go see what happens. Alright, I'm here in amongst all the game stuff, and I'm plugged in to this drive here. And we're going to see if it actually shows up as a connected device. We should see an 8 terabyte drive in here somewhere. We can see the network drives, but we can't see one on here. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's not reading the partitions properly. I don't think that controller knows what to do with it. Now, I've got all this reassembled, but I have an idea. I wonder if it's the drive it doesn't detect, or if it's the hardware that doesn't do Seagate drives. So I'm going to plug the 4 terabyte into this, and plug it in and see if I can read that on my Windows machine. And maybe it could be a problem with this, I don't know. Okay, so I might have cottoned onto something here. This wouldn't work through the hub, but it does work through a native port. That's an interesting turn of events. Alright, so the 4 terabyte did actually mount when I've plugged into the native port. I've gone into this one here. Okay, so I'm going to undo the mod again that I just redid. It works on a native port with the 4 terabyte drive. It does not like a Seagate 8 terabyte drive. So this is actually quite useless to me. So yes, it's going to get put back together exactly the way it was and sent back. So I pretty much just wasted my day. I thought that was going to work. And the back of the box said that that controller would work with an up to 8 terabyte drive, but I was a little dubious. Either way I've tested it, the 8 terabyte drive is not recognized by that controller. It just does not like the Seagate 8 terabyte compute drive.
72 hours later.
Alright, I had all but admitted defeat on this, but then I got it to work. I found an old Seagate drive sitting around, an old 2 terabyte one, and the controller on that actually mounts that 8 terabyte drive. It works well. However, the 2 terabyte drive it came from belongs to a deceased friend. So I'm going to use that enclosure now to put the 2 terabyte drive in, and I hope it works, and then I'll return that drive to the family members. I've already backed up a lot of that stuff on the cloud, but it'll work. Anyway, this is good. We actually have success. We now have a 5, 3 8 terabyte drives and a 14, and the 4 terabyte will be spare. It's worth noting that about 3 weeks has passed since I filmed all the rest of this. This drive we discovered did not like a Seagate 8 terabyte drive, despite being specifically advertised on the box as being able to support up to an 8 terabyte drive. That was apparently a lie. In either case, the drives are installed and I have everything happening. We are going to go over to my drive here and we're going to have a look, and we have all of them popping up here. And this is a local IP address. It's not going to be much useful to you guys trying to hack into this. Anyway, our 4 terabyte drive is now gone. That got replaced for a DVR drive at an Armed Forces Museum. Now we have our 8 terabyte one, our 2, our 3, and our 14, and our 5. So we're doing pretty well. Coincidentally, these 2 drives here are my YouTube backups. So I'm starting to fill them up already. So anyway, let's see you again in the next video. Hopefully it's a bit more interesting.